Well, howdy everybody. This presentation we're going to be talking about the research paper for the Correctional Systems class. So let me go ahead and get out of the way and we'll talk about it. Well, first, the research paper is a requirement to pass the course. Not only do you have to write a paper, you also have to present the paper. There are three different options for doing this. One is to come during the time slot. I've got two different time slots, one from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and one from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. to come to campus to present it to others in this class and my other online classes that I've got going on at the same time. The second option would be to present it to one of my other face-to-face classes. So if you're in this online class and you're a face-to-face class, you can present it, time allotment in that classroom. And usually we can do it at the beginning or the end of a class, and we can get that done. We're only talking about a 5 to 10 minute presentation. The third option, for those of you who can't come to campus or not in one of my face-to-face classes, is you can do it by videotape, as long as you find three or four of your friends to sit through you presenting it, and you do a videotape of showing the people that are there, and then pan around to show the crowd, and then have the camera on you for the rest of the presentation. So that is what you need to do. If you don't do a presentation, you don't get credit for the paper. If you don't get credit for the paper, you cannot pass the course. So it's kind of real important. We'll go over some other things that need to be in the paper in order for it to be accepted. The paper will be between 1,000 and 1,500 words. If you're less than 1,000, you're not going to really cover the material that's needed. It won't be accepted. If you're over 1,500 and you're not much over 1,500, I'll probably keep reading. Otherwise, I'll just kind of stop there. So just, that bottom one is you got to hit that level. The top one is flexible, a little flexible. And it has to be in the APA format. Now, I've got a template that you must use that's already in the APA format. The only problem that people that use it seem to have is they have difficulty with the reference page, or they have difficulty with putting the inline citations in there. So be sure to do both of those for your paper. Okay. The next thing that you need to do is you got to follow the template and cover all of the bullet points that are there, all the topic headings. First, you got to define the topic, not a textbook definition, but kind of what this is all about. Next, you have to relate some type of history of the topic, and you've got to discuss the current state and any controversies on the topic. Then talk about the future. What are the potential for the future? This is where you probably want to include your opinion and what you think the future is going to be like. So that is kind of all part of it. Then, very important, this is one thing, if you leave it out, the paper will not be accepted, and again, you won't pass the course. You have to have an interview with somebody who has more than general knowledge about the topic. It could be a prison employee, a probation officer. It could be a police officer who kind of knows about things. It could be an inmate who had been, or a former inmate who had been in prison and knows about how it is. I've had a inmate in California interviewed before who was in a Supermax there, and one of his relatives was able to interview him. Don't know exactly how they handled that, but it was kind of an interesting point of view. So you can use somebody that is a subject matter expert in the field in order to take care of this interview. In the interview, you need to identify the person you are interviewing. Now, that doesn't mean you have to use their name if they wish to remain anonymous, but you have to tell us why they're a subject matter expert, which means if you're interviewing a correction officer who does not want his name in the interview, simply say that the interview is with an individual who is a correction officer in the state of Texas, who has 10 years experience working in a prison unit, and something like that tells us why they're an expert. and include the fact that they wish to remain anonymous. Then you'll ask them a series of questions related to your topic. So before you talk to them, you need to do your research. Usually 4, 5, 6 questions, maybe a 5 to 10 minute interview is all it's going to take to get this information, and then you document everything that you were told. You kind of want their opinions on things and so forth, so you make sure you get that in there. You will have a choice of several different topics. Some of these are 17th century correctional reformers, correction employee training, community corrections, community-focused parole, corporal or physical punishment, corruption in prisons, prison victim services, evidence-based corrections, inmates with special needs, juvenile offenders in prison, prison gangs, private prisons, supermax prisons, teen courts, 3 strike laws, good behavior, women's prisons, drug courts, veteran courts, prison ministries, family violence courts, death penalty, restorative justice, boot camps, prison boot camps, or not prison boot camps, correctional boot camps. It's kind of a thing that you don't see much anymore, but you can still interview people about them. They used to have one here in Brazoria County. Jail accreditation, truth in sentencing, intermediate sanctions, inmate rights, non-lethal weapons, and diversion programs. One of the first things you do once you choose your topic is start looking for someone to interview, because this is usually the biggest stumbling block. People wait till the last minute, and it's not always easy to find a person that has the time to do the interview that you can talk to. If you're having difficulty finding someone, get with me and we will set you up. I'm not going to find a person for you, but I'll give you some ideas on where you can find someone to talk to. Keep in mind, again, in order to get credit for the course, you must complete this paper. In order to get credit for the paper, you must present it. So just remember that. You will then select your topic. Again, those are the topics to choose from. On this research paper topic selection tab, click on it, and it takes a minute or so, but it will bring up the topic selection page. Simply type your name in next to, as soon as it finishes loading, type your name in next to where you want, the topic you want. Of course, there it goes. Boy, it's running a little slow. But once you do that, you'll be able to select your topic. Now, if you're using a non-supported browser, and at one point Android systems and Firefox weren't working, if you don't have another browser on your computer, and I suggest keeping a couple browsers on your computer, because some sites work with one but not others, and it can be different sites for different sites, so it's always good to have more than one on there. If you can't enter the information, give me your top 3 choices by sending me an email, and I will type it in to the first one that's still available when I get the email. So try to do it yourself, but if you can't, send me an email on that. Now, I mentioned that we have a template. I've got 2 other things that are available to you. First, we'll look at the template real quick. It is in a Word document. You're going to download it to your computer. When it's in Word, and this is actually in Google Docs that's opening it up, when you click on this, all you do is type your information in and it erases all the other information. If you're not using Word, then you're going to have to highlight it, delete it, and then type your new information in. Title of your paper, your name, course title, and the due date on the paper. You'll double click up here, again put your title. You'll enter your title a 3rd time, and then you'll do an introduction. Here you'll put, I don't know if your topic is 17th century correctional reformers defined. So what is it? History of the 17th century correctional reformers. Current state. That one is probably what of those reforms are still around, if you're looking at the 17th century correctional reformers. And then any controversies. Were there controversies when they were around? Did they change something? Potential for the future. Did what they do, is it Is it going to stay with us or go away? Things like that. Then you do your interview, again, identifying the person. And then you'll have your opinion on the topic. And then finally, again, your opinion, if you put your opinion on the topic in the future of the topic, then you would delete this section out. You'll have a section that's called conclusion. Don't change this title, and you're going to put everything together. So that introductory paragraph that you do is going to kind of tell what the paper is going to be about. The conclusion is going to tell what the paper was about. So you tell what you're going to write about, and then you tell what you wrote about. And then finally, the last page is the reference page. This has to be in the APA format. If you don't know how to do it, Word actually will put it in there. If you have some difficulty with that, get with me and I will show you how. Or you can go online and do some research. When we get to the sample page, I'll show you what they should look like. What they shouldn't look like is a bunch of URLs just pasted in there. That is a big red flag. Okay, so the next one we've got is going to be that sample page, and it tells you a little bit about what you want for most of the sections. Kind of general stuff here. It shows you, the body of your paper talks about the APA requirements somewhat. Tells you a little bit about the introduction and kind of read through there so you get an idea what's going on. I also have a section called documenting references. Don't include this in your paper. That's just telling you how to do it. And then I told you you're also going to be inserting citations. Here's how a citation looks, so make sure they kind of look like that. You need, anytime you quote something, you need a citation in there, or if you're drawing from their ideas. And then finally, the reference page. This is kind of how it looks. It starts up against the margin, and the second lines are going to be indented. The exact formatting on it, again, Word will allow you to do that. If you have any questions, get with me and I will get with you, show you how to do it. The final page I've got is a checklist. Use this checklist. Make sure you've got the APA compliance, proper title page, paragraph heading, properly formatted reference page, and with properly formatted citations. Make sure all the content is there, and then including your interview, and then also make sure you've got the proper number of words. You utilized at least 2 academic sources, and you need 2 academic sources other than your textbook. Use your textbook, it's a good source, but you'll have to find at least 2 others. One of them is going to be that personal interview. Make sure you cite the personal interview. So, how do you download this material? Well, my page will show back up. So your template and all, if you right-click on the item, you will then say Save Link As. This is in Chrome. I think in Firefox and Internet Explorer, one of them had the, I guess it's Edge now, not Internet Explorer. At least I didn't say Netscape. It will say Save Target As, but something of that nature will allow you to download it. If you're in Safari, I don't have any idea how to do it, but I know there is a way to download things. So save it somewhere. You will then write your paper from the template, and then save it with something with your name on it. So when I download things, we know whose they are, and the course title, something of that information. But save it somewhere where you can find it. When it comes time to submit it, you'll simply click on this research paper, submit your research paper here, and in a second, eventually, maybe, it will come open. Then you will click on Browse My Computer, and you will select the file. If it opens up. Anyway, it will eventually open, and you will then select your file and upload it in that manner. Okay. If the computer hasn't locked up. It's thinking. We got to wait for it. So you would simply select one of the files and then hit submit down here in the bottom, and it will submit your paper to me. And it won't preview because I got the wrong one, but I'll have to cancel that out in a minute. Okay, so that is how you will do your submission. The only other thing we've got to go over is, well, two other things. Actually, three other things. If you're not sure how to do research here at the college, I've got a little video that shows you the databases we have available to us and so forth. And it will just kind of help you do the research. And I love when the computer is working slow because it makes it a little more difficult to show you things. But anyway, there would be a video that will come up. If you're going to do the alternative presentation, I will have a link here. It may not be the Dropbox site. It may be a Microsoft site, but you will click on that, and again, you'll upload your file the same way. Make sure you save your video somewhere where you can get to it. The other thing we've got is the presentation sign-up page. And as soon as it opens, this is like the topic sign-up page. You will simply select the time that you want. If you're coming to campus, either the 4 o'clock or the 6 o'clock session, you will then type in your course number, and you will also include your topic that you're on. If you're taking more than one of my classes and want to present at the same time, which I suggest that you do, use a different line for each course that you're taking. That just shows how many people are signed up. Well, that covers about everything that I was going to cover in this video. If you have any other questions about this, send me an email and we'll answer them to the best of my ability. All right, there's the presentation sign-up sheet showing up. No, now it went back. Computers are fun. That's about it. I'll talk to you later.